Joining us now is Schaumburg's Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi from his office in Washington, D.C., and you've been working very hard on this potentially multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure program. As you know, Congressman Rodney Davis and other Illinois Republicans say this includes a lot of things that are not infrastructure. Elder care, child care, it shouldn't be in there.
Well, thank you so much for the question. It contains numerous provisions that are vital for our infrastructure, but we've also run into opposition on certain issues such as upgrading the electric grid or providing broadband internet to everybody, given what we've learned during the pandemic about telemedicine and the need to e-learn and telecommute. And unfortunately, or replacing lead pipes. And unfortunately, some of my Republican colleagues don't call it infrastructure. With regard to some other issues, we've learned that our healthcare infrastructure is broken, and that's in part why we have the pandemic. So to make sure we don't have another one, we have to take care of those items as well.
Well, you know, even some of the Republicans with a reputation for sometimes crossing the party line, like Mitt Romney and others, are saying this program's way too big. It's got to be shrunken down, maybe a few $100 million, not nearly a couple trillion. Does that make sense to you?
I think we're all ears in terms of wanting to negotiate the size and scope of the package, as long as it addresses the needs out there.
Before we get away from it, let me just ask about that elder care, child care being included in the infrastructure package. Why is that?
You know, one of the things that we learned during the pandemic is that, unfortunately, for instance, in a lot of places, there is no public health infrastructure. And so what ended up happening is that a lot of people got sick very fast, and they didn't have the means to either take care of themselves or get well. And so some of that care is essential for standing up the types of resources and people necessary to make sure that doesn't happen again. With regard to childcare, you know, one of the things we learned is that unfortunately a lot of people, especially moms, because they bear the brunt of childcare at home when they're not working, essentially got sidelined from the economy, because once children had to stay home from school and once other childcare providers shut their doors, and there was no other child care resources, mothers left the workforce.
Let me ask, too, about these episodes of Asian Americans being attacked. A woman who was speaking Mandarin in New York City apparently was slapped in the face. The video shows a woman, an American woman, walking up to her and slapping her and saying something to the effect of, "Go back where you came from." I know you're active with the Asian caucus on Capitol Hill there. What's going on?
Well, unfortunately, Mike, we've seen an incredible rise in hate-motivated violence toward Asian people. I just want to put in a plug for a piece of legislation that's gaining a lot of support. It's one that I've co-authored with some others called the Hate Crimes Commission Bill. That 140-plus co-sponsors now, Mike. It would set up a bipartisan commission that would study the rise of hate crimes and in 1 year come back with concrete solutions for it. And I think that this is the type of measure that we need now more than ever to put a stop to this type of violence.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thanks very much for joining us. I thought I heard an alarm going off. Is that signal that you got to go cast a vote?
It's time to vote again. Yes, we're in the middle of a vote series, sir.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking the time. We'll be right back after a quick break.